Okay, so I thought that tonight we would talk about cravings. I did see someone post like, "Oh my gosh, I'm craving chocolate. What does that mean?" Well, I'm not so sure. Like maybe cravings are like, we're low on some vitamin or mineral, and so we're craving, something. But I think that figuring that out is kind of our last resort when we're coming to like cravings, because well, we're going to go get a blood test, we're going to get all things, or are we going to try some like practical things to curb cravings? I read this thing about cravings, and if we are just our pure like animal instinct, if we are low on something, the chances that we'd be craving like crappy food is slim. We would be craving like whole nutritious food from the earth, right? Just our animal instincts, because like a dog doesn't eat Laffy Taffy because it's craving something, right? It's like it doesn't have that brain process, and our brains, I think, work a lot like that. So I thought we would talk in regards of what, cravings at nighttime. I think that cravings at nighttime is a very common thing. What we're craving, why we're craving it, all the things. And we can all talk about our different types of cravings and throw any ideas or tips that we use to curb those cravings. One thought that it's taken me years and years to realize is sugar cravings at night. I get those, and it's more like I get sugar craving, but it's also kind of like I just need something else. And so sugar sounds good, right? And so it's like I'm like picking at all the sugar things, like, and it's still not kind of like giving me what I need. My main don't give a shit is when I'm tired. When I'm tired, oh my God, I call it energy cravings at the end of the night is what I really call it, because our body's preferred source of energy is carbohydrates, right? And so it is smart enough to know, without us even really thinking about it, that sugar is going to get to the bloodstream. It's getting right in. It's going to give us some like instant sugar. And so that's why we go for that. And so that's why I call it like an energy craving, because somewhere along the line, I didn't give myself something during the day that I needed to fuel my body. And it was probably carbohydrates, because that's our body's preferred energy source. And I always think about like when I skip a meal, I'll never get that meal back. It's gone for the day. And if I try, it's usually at the end of the night in crap. And so that's one thing. It's taken me, God, 43 years to figure this out. That is one thing that I finally figured out about myself, is like when I'm in a sugar craving, sometimes I don't realize it until I'm deep, right? Like my husband has literally walked into me sitting in the pantry on a step stool with crackers and a frosting, like Betty Crocker's frosting, right? Just go, and he'll be like, whoa, what's going on here? I'm like, get out. And it's not until like I'm deep into it that I'm like, okay, wait. Oh my God, what am I doing? Like, oh my God, I skipped lunch today. I didn't have the snack I usually had. And so my body just went into complete zombie mode, and I succumbed to these cravings. So that's my main craving. I want to open it up to all you ladies to see, like, what's your main craving? Do you notice a trend when you have that craving? Because that is one thing to overcome these cravings, is like being mindful. Like I said, even if you're already deep into the frosting and crackers, but snapping out of it at some point and being like, why am I doing this? Like, what was my day like? What was my day like today when I'm having a craving compared to yesterday when I was just fine? Like, what did I do differently? So that's mine that I've really honed in on. And it's a big deal for me because sugar is like a drug to me. And so keeping myself on point fuel wise, and realizing that food is fuel, keeping myself on point, I recognize at night, like, wow, I don't have this insatiable urge to like look in every cabinet for one little missing piece of candy somewhere. So I'm going to open it up to you ladies. Let's talk about this.
I think Rose said period cravings.
Yeah, I did. I feel like, but even when it's not, then I feel like that sweet tooth is, I remember I texted Marlena, my coach Marlena, who I say, hi, Marlena, that I like had say no to a dessert. Like I love dessert so much that That's definitely something. Yeah. At night, I want like a cookie, a piece of chocolate. It's
Well,
way worse around your period too.
I agree. And it's kind of one of those things that during our period, our hormones are like, high this, low this, like going all over the place. And that can cause cravings. It's just kind of trying to be aware of it. And, sometimes it's okay to succumb to your craving as long as like you're making that choice and you feel good about it. Like, I'm on my period. I'm going to have a piece of chocolate cake, damn it. Like, that's a choice that you're making. You can actually sit down, like enjoy this chocolate cake and like be cool with it and move on. And I think that that's okay too. Like, sometimes it's okay to give into our cravings. If like we know around our period, we're going to have a craving and God damn it, we want something, make that choice. I think that cravings start to get a little like, we start walking that line of cravings when we feel like we're out of control and we're not even making a choice. And we're just like spiraling down this thing and it's happening more often and more often. That I think is like more detrimental to our mental state. So just think about that, Rose. Like, sometimes, hey, I'm on my period, God damn it. And here's another thing when we're on our period. Have you ever heard that that you should eat more calories during your period? Because think about all the things our bodies are doing during our period. Like, it's actually pretty amazing. It's getting ready, it's like flushing and doing all this hormonal change, and it makes us tired. It raises our like TD, our basal metabolic rate that we're just burning sitting. So maybe you need to eat a little bit more nutritional food during the day, and tracking that in a period tracker and kind of seeing like, wow, I upped my calories, 300 calories during my period, and then my cravings were less. So that's also something just to kind of think about.
I crave peanut butter. I could eat peanut butter by the spoonfuls. And I can go weeks without it, but when I start craving it, I just eat it and eat it and eat it and eat it. It's hard to stop.
I have a friend who craves peanut butter also. What kind of peanut butter do you eat? Just out of sheer curiosity.
Jif.
Mm-hmm. Which is fine. I don't, and I think that I would like to say like, oh, since you're craving peanut butter, you are short on this. But I also think that we also kind of have our drug of choice. You know what I mean? When it comes to our sweet treats, may it be ice cream, may it be cookies, may it be, I love cake. And so, thinking about when you are craving it and you do succumb to it, like, what was your day like? Are you feeding yourself well? Are you sleeping well? Sleep's my number one. I don't give a shit. Am I drinking enough water? Sometimes we confuse hunger with thirst. They're very closely related. So that's another one of mine. Sleep, hydration makes me have cravings too. So Julie, just thinking like those times where you do kind of succumb to peanut butter, what's happening in your life? What's happening with your stress levels maybe, or, are you having a few low water days or something like that? That is how I think that we can kind of start figuring out our cravings more so than trying to figure out like what actually we're craving. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. I'll have to keep track of that and see, because I never thought about it before. I just figured my body needed something and I was going to eat peanut butter.
Well, and maybe so. Maybe your fat intake during the day isn't good, isn't high enough, I should say. And so it's balancing.
I think it's high enough.
Okay.
So, this is not a craving. This is something that I learned. I don't always do, but you could try it. So when I'm standing in the doorway of the pantry, sorry, there's animals in here. They're making weird noises. Halt. So I'm standing there and I'm like, okay, let's just take a second. Am I hungry? Maybe. Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? And then for me, I have to add cold, because I have discovered within the past, 5 years that around 3 o'clock, I've already exercised, I've come home, I'm sweaty. Maybe I'm still wearing those sweaty clothes, which is gross. But if I'm cold, I reach for food. So it's like the cues aren't necessarily communicating properly in my head. So it's very difficult to do because if you have if you're craving something and you go to the pantry or whatever, you're just going to reach for it. But what I try to do is I try to say, okay, halt. What am I really feeling? And then if I am hungry, of course, eat something or whatever. Because sometimes for me, it's not a craving. Sometimes it's something else, but I want the food instead because that's easier and it tastes delicious.
True. I like that. I learned that when I was in rehab about alcohol. Like, wait, stop, just take a moment. And it helps you just take a moment and be mindful. And really that's what it is. I feel like cravings do this weird thing where they like take over our bodies and souls, and they just force us to do things. I call it zombie mode, because I swear to God, I'm like, just give me whatever I want. I know it's silly, but I feel like cravings like have this weird thing over us. And so sometimes just trying to remember to be like Linda said, stop, be mindful. Am I something else? Is it food that I really need?
I like that. I crave salty too. I'm a sweet and salty person, so I can eat popcorn and have peanut M&Ms, and so I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't. I know, I love sweet and salty too. And I was also reading this thing. I mean, who knows that men tend to crave salty and women tend to crave sweets. Like, I don't know if that has anything to do with anything at all. It could just be bullshit. But again, I kind of think it's drug of choice. Like, I mean, I guess, are we craving sodium? Like, that is kind of a thing. Or like, does our body need sodium? Maybe it could. If we are eating, Fitme plates and we've kind of cleaned up our food, salt has gotten a really bad rap. But the sodium that's in like processed food is different than like sprinkling salt on your food. It's a different kind of sodium. It's like MSG. We wouldn't just sprinkle MSG on our food, right? And it acts differently in our body because most of the time it's not in a natural state. And so salting our food is important, and it tastes good. I mean, it tastes good. So I don't know how much salt you get in your diet, Raquel, but that could be a thought.
Could it be that our bodies go through withdrawals too? Like, like for me, I've made a drastic change in my diet. And so like this past week, I have been craving something, but I don't know what it is. And everything that I think that it is, it's not satisfying. And I don't know if it's like, I don't know. It's weird. It's so weird. Like I try to, do a salty. I try to, cucumbers with salt on it, or I'm doing Greek yogurt with frozen berries, to help, give me that sweet and that salty, and still with the crunch, like with the cucumbers, I like crunchy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, is my body going through withdrawals? Like, is this it? Like wanting all the bad, like a big bag of chips and, a molten lava chocolate.
It's like if anyone's gone on an elimination diet before, there is a period of worse before it gets better. They say it's just your body kind of like flushing everything out and getting through your livers and kidneys and all the things. And so, maybe you should just have some chips, like that's another thing to be said. Like, if you're craving something for a long time and you're not giving into it and the craving's not going away, maybe have a treat, and have something, because this, we're not talking about never eating things that we enjoy. That's no fun. We're just talking about making choices about them, and cravings sometimes feel like we're not making a choice. But if the craving lasts and lasts and lasts, go have that damn thing, make it be good and move on. So maybe that's what you need to do.
I'm literally biting my tongue. I feel like I could talk for the entire time. But I was going to say, yes, have the thing. But also what I sometimes try to do is think, okay, what is the thing that I want? And what would be maybe, I hate to use the word healthier, but like, and my kids give me so much shit for this. Mom, you're always looking for like the better alternative, the non-Dorito, the baked chip. But I try to get something that still satisfies that flavor, that crunch, that sweet, that salty, whatever it is. But it's a little bit better for me. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking for some reason of those pop chips. They're round. I think they're called pop chips.
They are.
Anyway, but if that's not really your jam and you're really like, no, I really just want Doritos, then you're right. You should just do that because you can just eat around the thing you really want. So I don't know that I'm literally sitting here thinking, do I really have true cravings? I don't know that I have true cravings. What I do have are habits. And so like every day I like to go, do I crave a coffee? Or is it more of a habit of going through the drive-through and having a coffee? Do I crave sweets at night? Or is it more of the habit that I've created of having some chocolate after dinner? I do feel sometimes that I crave alcohol. But again, I think that's more of like the wanting of being social and hanging out. I don't know.
No, I'm glad you said that. Because as you're saying that, I'm thinking about like times I've really craved things. And then I felt like, well, I'm not going to have it because, I've been having sweets a lot, but I haven't even enjoyed. And it's because they're just habits. Right. And so that is a thought too. Like, is it actually a true craving? Like, and that's kind of with what you were saying, Raquel, about the chips and the molten lava cake. Like, you haven't given into it. So maybe it is a craving, maybe it's not, I don't know. But I think when we start having like, look, let me talk about myself, I guess. When I start like doing this thing where I'm eating a little bit of sugar every single night, I'm not so sure that I'm craving it, and I think that's another thing to kind of look at and be like mindful about also. I feel like I'm constantly on this. I need to do a sugar purge. I need to do a sugar purge. And it's because that I've built in this habit that after I eat something, I just like crave. I feel like I crave the sweet, but actually I think it's just a habit. I think it's just a habit. And it is hard to break a habit. It's kind of like you do have to sit on your hands for a little while, to kind of break that habit and not succumb to your craving. But like I said, the craving could be actually a habit. And then you will kind of know more. You can be mindful and be like, wait, okay, is this a craving? I've broke that habit. Now I am having a craving. And then try to get into the habit of like choosing your treats occasionally, because then they're treats and not just habit crap that you have every night.
Hey ladies, good evening. I definitely have a craving, especially with my monthly, like give me all of the crunchy, salty, whether it's Doritos, Cool Ranch. I think Coach Leah, you mentioned those, or someone mentioned those on the call, how good they are, as well as give me any fried food. Like I just want anything fried and crunchy, and salty. So I don't know if I index more like a dude or what, but I want all the things salty, crunchy. Like I almost feel like a horse needing a salt lick. Like it's definitely especially with monthly. So I usually indulge and get myself one thing or something to kind of quench that craving, because if I don't, I am a raving lunatic until I do, and no one is safe. Because if I don't, I'm going to keep substituting for anything else down the bad rabbit holes. Like that's when the candy comes into play, and the chocolate and the sweet. Like I'll substitute for something bad. So I usually just give in, but then I feel guilty somewhat sometimes. But one of the ways, and I think Linda mentioned this, by what I do when I open up the cabinet is I think about how bad I'm going to feel after I eat said processed food or snack or treat that I might be craving at times. And then I also, because I'm a weight loss season, I also think about, okay, how much work at the gym am I going to undo by eating this crappy food? Like, I hate I'm not want to say, oh, I love working out. That's not going to be me. So I want to get the maximum return when I do. And I kind of help control my cravings by thinking about, all right, if I got to get back on that assault bike to outdo what I just ate, is it really worth it? Because I hate that bike. So no, put the cookie down and just go drink some water. That's what I usually end up telling myself.
Well, I think that's also being mindful with yourself too. That's awesome. The period can be a bitch. The other thing I was thinking about too, about cravings, is stress or sad or happy. Like sometimes food just takes on a very emotional feel. And sometimes, like I don't think I'm an emotional eater. When I'm stressed, I tend to not eat. It tends to, and this is probably diet mentality and years of eating disorders and all the things that I've been through, but I tend to feel gross when I eat when I'm stressed. But happy occasions seem to always have like yummy things too that make me feel like it's okay to eat that too. And sometimes, sometimes it is. But also just kind of thinking, just being mindful on those. And with this, as far as stress goes, thinking like, what else can I do that will make, that I can deal with my stress better? Remember that call we had about comfort food, and I can't remember who said it, but they're like, well, I'm not sure what you mean, because those foods actually cause me discomfort. And so kind of thinking about that with stress, like if we overeat or we binge or we give into cravings when we're stressed, like, does that actually make us feel better in the long run? And just trying to be mindful, like Nicole said, like, how is this food going to make me feel? Food's a real tricky one. It can be, an addiction. And the hard thing about food too is that we have to have it to survive. And so it's not just like I don't drink and do drugs anymore, but I don't need those to survive. And so it's easier to just be like, nope, not having, zero, totally none. Food's a little different. And so it's, it's hard to navigate sometimes. And it takes a long time and a lot of practice and trial and error, and what works for our bodies and what works for our minds and what do we feel good about. It's complicated. What, Linda?
And I'm literally holding back. I'm like, okay, someone else talk so that I can talk again. I was just going to say that, the lighting is weird. Yes, food is complicated. And while I could sit here on my high horse and go, oh, well, when I stand at my pantry, I say, halt. Am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? I'm saying that's a tool. I'm not saying that I always do it. And the hard part about food is that it's a good distraction in the moment, just like a drug, just like alcohol. You're eating it, you're in it because I'm numbing, we're forgetting, we're avoiding. It's like, this is the easiest thing for me to do right now. I have 10 things on my to-do list, and eating this entire cake or whatever is going to be the best, tastiest thing. So yes, it's great to be mindful, but that's a tool that you have to learn going in, because if you're at the pantry and you're just going for it, you're too late. And when I say you, I totally mean me. So before this call, I really want to share this snack tip that my coach, Amy, provided for me when trying to switch out some processed things for more healthy whole foods. I would have never eaten this in the past because why? Oh my God, the carbs. I'd be freaking out about the carbs. And all you people out there, all you people saying how much you love peanut butter, I love peanut butter. Here's the best snack. You're going to love me forever for this. And Leah, you said you're always craving something sweet. So here you go. So nut butter. And I don't know how much, I'm not going to say amounts, but you know, a normal little amount of nut butter eaten with a date, and not like with some hunky dude or some really hot chick, but like the fruit. Oh my God, it's so good.
Really? I love
Yes.
this. I
So
love nut butter.
instead of having my processed protein bar, which, you know, those are healthy in a pinch, but after my lunch or even with my morning coffee, like my second morning coffee, like later after I work out, I'll eat the date with a little bit of nut butter. And, you know, I take smaller bites at a time so I can savor it. It's so good.
Wow. I'm going to try
There.
it. I like both
Yes.
those.
Actually, I have eaten dates with it's an almond maple butter,
Mhm.
and it's so good. So
Right.
good.
I mean, yes, the date is high in carbs. We all know that. It's like it's like a total sugar bomb, right? But it's healthy, it's whole. And I'm not saying eat the bag and the jar of peanut butter. 1 or 2 with a scoop of peanut butter. Delicioso.
It only takes 1 or 2.
Seriously, who's talking? Yes.
Really.
Julie, me.
When it's natural,
Yeah.
it does. When it's like natural and whole.
It's satisfying and it's sweet and it totally does it. I'm so amazed.
I actually like those date rolls too that are rolled in coconut flakes. I like those too. Those are good.
But is that processed?
Well, I get the organic ones. It's probably like it's chopped up date. And so it's not a date, it's chopped up and then they roll in.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try the date and nut butter thing. I am.
I mean, it's messy. It's messy. I put it like in a little container and I just use a spoon because it's like all kinds of sticky.
Does the date have a hole in the middle for where the seed was?
You know, I ordered those kind. Anyway, long story short, mine have pits.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty easy to eat around, but it comes right out. I gotta get my drink. It's not wine. It's not wine, people.
Are you drinking kombucha?
Wednesday night wine. I mean,
I am drinking kombucha. And can you read this? My daughter, she's 17. She got this for me.
I cannot read that.
I'd shank a bitch for you. That's awesome. Right in the kidney. That's cute.
Hey, she loves me.
One last good old-fashioned way to curb cravings that doesn't take a lot of thought is don't bring the stuff that you crave in the house. Like
that's the number one tool I use. Don't bring it in the house.
Yep, because the chances are that you're going to get in the car in your pajamas and drive somewhere to get it. I mean, slim compared to like if it was just in the pantry.
I'd have to really be craving it to go out my pajamas.
Hey. So, okay, ladies. Anybody else want to say anything? Julie, were you saying something?
Nope.
Like you can even tell that I'm pointing at you. Linda, did you want to say something else?
No, I was just going to add on to that that's exactly what Coach Lauren says she does. Like ice cream is a thing for her. She doesn't bring it. Was that Lauren or was that Christy Campbell? Anyway, it's Christy Campbell. She doesn't buy the ice cream and have it in her home. If she wants it, she can have it, but she has to go and make the effort to get a single serving. And then she'll go to Dairy Queen or the store, whatever, and she'll buy it and she'll eat it. And then it's done. It's over with. There's not the entire rest of the container sitting in her freezer.
Yep. And I think that's a great idea too. Single servings and not like single serving drumsticks, 10 in a box, like actually a single serving. All right, ladies. Awesome call. Thank you. I'm going to try the dates and the almond butter, the nut butter. I'm going to try that seriously.
Thank you.
Have a good night. And I will see you ladies next week.
Cheers.
If you have any ideas, let me know. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.